I've always equated being busy with being productive. Constantly moving, constantly doing, treating stillness like a waste of time. But lately I've been wondering if that mindset might be working against me. It's made me curious about what happens when we stop optimizing for a minute and just exist somewhere. Recently I had the chance to hike through the foothills just outside Calgary with Robyn, co-owner of an outdoor adventure company, lifelong tree climber, and someone who's turned her relationship with nature into both a livelihood and a lifeline. Robyn opened up about using time outdoors to manage chronic migraines, what it actually feels like when your brain rewires itself around pain, and how something as simple as sitting in the still woods can become a form of medicine. So what is your name? What do you do?
My name is Robyn. I own a outdoor adventure tour hike company.
What's your outdoor adventure tour company called?
It's called Banff Wilderness.
Explain to me what an outdoor adventure hike tour company is and what you do.
Yeah, we basically try to create memorable experiences in the Rockies. So predominantly just outside of Calgary, Kananaskis all the way to Banff National Park and everything in between. Some of your more, exclusive spots that people always hear about, Lake Louise and Moraine Lake. And we take, sightseeing groups, we take hikers, we take runners, we take rock climbers, we take, corporate groups looking to get out of the office. Pretty much you name it. We just try to get people out in the mountains, experiencing things that, in my opinion, for a lot of people, especially tourists, is like once in a lifetime. But for locals, it's this ability to connect with something much bigger than themselves and just outside of the city. It's not requiring them to take a holiday or, do something drastic. It's just getting out there and being able to connect.
We're in Calgary, and speaking about just outside the city, we're just outside the city of Calgary. Where are we today?
We're in Bragg Creek.
Bragg Creek. What is the little trail hike that you took me on so far today?
What did we call this? The band...
Alder. We took Alder Loop.
Alder Loop initially.
To Banded Peak.
Banded Peak, that's what it's called.
I have no idea at what part we're at, but we just decided we were going to pull over and do our interview here.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever done an interview in such a great spot.
It's so nice. I love the way that the trees are like creaking in the wind. You can hear them so much. And the birds.
If a tree falls, protect me, because I'm not wearing a helmet.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Jump over you.
We're out in nature. Because you do your job, you must love going outside. You must love doing things in nature.
Oh my gosh, so much.
Going outside into nature for you, a lot of people who have developed a job that they like doing, or they've turned a hobby into a job, they end up resenting that thing. Do you think one day you're going to resent starting this outdoor hiking company?
That's a really great question. I think in every single job that I've ever done, because I've run businesses before and I've always kind of followed my passions in that way, it's never the main thing that I resent.
Is following your passion.
No, yeah. I never resent following my passion. I never resent, so for example, nature. I could never resent nature. That's not something that exists. Running a company and wearing 100 other hats, that part of things.
To be determined.
Yeah.
You said following your passion. How long have you been passionate about nature and going outside? I know that's a weird question because as we were talking on the hike, some people grew up with doing this. Some people would be rather anywhere else other than on a hike.
Right.
When did your passion for hiking start?
Yeah.
Or just being in nature?
Yeah, I would say definitely from a young age. Yeah, I was always out. I think I told you on the hike part, I grew up in Burnaby, just outside of Vancouver, the bottom kind of a Burnaby Mountain, and there's so many trails in there. There's so many mountains just in general in BC. We used to go to Lynn Valley all the time. The trees out there are so magnificent. My aunt was really passionate about nature. I had my mom's friend that was really passionate about nature. And I was a kid that was always in a tree. I was always climbing a tree, which I still do. to this day. I think
We brought a pack of birdseed and we've been trying to care for the birds the whole way that we've been out here.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, and that's a big part of it too for me now. You know, it wasn't always. I think I've always loved animals, and I've always loved birds from like they're nice sense. But in recent years, definitely way more into birds and learning their names and learning their sounds and feeding them and, you know, being a part of it in that way.
Did you know at a young age, like, the feelings that nature was giving you? Or can you describe to me what you were learning or experiencing and how that was affecting and shaping you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just knew that it felt like home. Like it really just felt the most comfortable ever. Like I think there were times where, and I don't know if everyone has this experience as a kid, where I would run away, run away from home. And what that meant to me at the time was running to a tree that was like, I don't know, maybe
Half a
15
block
feet
away.
from my house, and sitting in the tree and spending, 12 hours in the tree, and no one can find me, and I'm just above the world, in my tree, doing, weird stuff. Talking to the tree, talking to the squirrels. Feeding birds, doing whatever, and that was kind of where I existed all the time. And so I don't necessarily think that, I could maybe conceptualize that when I was that age. It wasn't like I was like, oh, this feels like home. Like I couldn't put it into words, but I knew I wanted to be there all the time. And that's where I was, and as much as I was a social child as well, I also spent a lot of time just alone in the trees, making potions, grabbing sticks, making designs.
Okay. So not just like somebody who was like consuming nature, you were creating and I don't know what the word, I guess creating with nature along that.
Yeah,
wow.
Exactly.
So at a very young age you found nature. In terms of like your feelings and everything, like you said that to run away, how do you use nature now in that context?
Yeah, I mean, probably similarly, to be honest. I wouldn't necessarily call it running away anymore, but more so as a chance to process whatever it is that I'm working through. And we've talked about it a little bit, but I've had some really big moments in my life where this was the place where I needed to come in order to figure out how I felt about things, and also to heal from things. Working through that in nature, I feel like is one of the most powerful things you can do.
I'm really glad you said that. Obviously, I do a mental health thing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the questions that I'm asking you about that. In a general scope, like mental health wise, where do you put nature, or how do you use nature in terms of whether it's for self-care or using it as a reset, or just in mental health in general? Where do you put it and how do you maneuver it? Is it something that you're naturally going to always do, or do you have to set time aside to do it?
That's a really good question. I think innately in me, I'm drawn to it all the time. But what that looks like in our current landscape, in our current society, is having to schedule that in because it isn't always readily available. Especially with the expansion of cities, and the tearing down of trees, we end up having very little green space, which is why I love Alberta so much, because we are so close to areas like this, to areas in the Rockies where we can have that deep connection. And again, it's the biggest reason why me and my business partner, why we started Banff Wilderness in the first place, is because we wanted to be in nature all the time. We're like, if people come, great, but we want to be out there. This is where we feel the best. So we're going to be out there regardless. And if you guys want to come, like, that's great. We'll take you along with us on our journey.
It feels like that feeling of like, I can't go to nature because of my job. You sort of, well, then I'll just make my job going to nature.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly right.
You mentioned the healing properties of nature. Is there anything specifically that you noticed has helped you heal, nature's helped you heal through?
Yes. So we've talked about this a lot, and I share this so much. People probably get sick of me when I talk about this journey. But about 6 years ago, I essentially got diagnosed with chronic migraines. And I was getting them approximately 23, 24 days out of the month, and sometimes multiple
Wow.
times a day. I get auras, so I lose my vision.
Do you mind explaining to me what is the feeling of a migraine? So what is an aura?
Oh, yes.
Because I've never actually had, I thought I've had migraines until you explained what a migraine is. And then
There's different versions, there's different things. But for me, the experience of a migraine very much is it starts with vision loss or vision static, I guess you could describe it as. And it starts in like a very small area of your eye. It's funny because I can really pick it up really quite quickly now, where I'll look at someone's face and I'll see just something slightly off, and then I can see, oh, it's actually my vision is going a little bit. And then it kind of spreads for me. It spreads across the eye and then to the other eye. And then once that finishes, then the pain usually would come on. So then that's where you have a one-sided, very extreme pain.
So you almost have like a precursor to this extreme physical
Exactly.
pain. Jeez.
Yes. Yeah. It's like a warning to you that it's coming, you know? And that would be the moment that a lot of people rely on acute migraine medication or prescription drugs to treat, because the medical science behind it is that if you catch it before the pain hits, you can kind of almost like curb it, is kind of how they speak about it, because it really is a dilation of the blood vessels. So it kind of like they constrict and dilate, and they do it in a very quick way, and that creates pain in the brain.
Right.
Is kind of the scientific behind it. So they say basically if you can catch it before it fully goes, then you can maybe get ahead of it. For me, I've found other methods to deal with it that don't require medication at all. A big part of that being in nature. And so when I first started getting the headaches, I ended up having to take quite a bit of time off work during that time. And I ended up spending every single day, I would sit out in nature. I would go for walks, but I would sit out in some part of nature for like 5-6 hours, and I would feed the birds, and I would write nature poetry, and I would just meditate and be in the trees. And I credit a lot of my healing to that.
So I was going to ask you, like, are you healed from these migraines completely?
I wouldn't say completely at this point, but I have come a long way. So I use some other methods as well, like deep meditative breathing techniques and things like that, to overcome them. I still get the vision loss. This is something that happens to me. But I can essentially track through that period, and the pain doesn't come on anymore. So it's really rare for me to get the actual pain part of a migraine.
So you can catch the vision,
That's right.
implement things.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And so then in terms of like, why do you think, I'm going to ask you this in 2 parts.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why you got migraines, and do you know why nature was such a you don't even have to have a scientific answer to either one, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of research on it, so
Got you.
I do have a lot of information on the topic. But we've talked about this a little bit, but it comes down to when you receive acute pain in the body, the brain can move that acute pain into the memory center of the brain. And this is where we have neural pathways that are created with patterns and things like that. So the brain is really smart. It learns patterns very quickly. If you learn a pain pattern very quickly, the brain will automatically go there over and over again. And this is something that's reflected in migraines a lot. Any kind of chronic pain, really. The brain has learned that pain pathway. And a lot of the time we have a lot of fear that comes up with, oh my God, it's going to hit again. I'm going to have this pain. It's going to ruin my whole day. There's all of these things that come up. And it's basically being able to sit with it, go to the center of it, feel comfortable with it, allow yourself to remind the brain that it's not in danger. Because what does the brain do when it's in danger? Is it sends you more pain. That's essentially how it works. And so being out in nature and being able to fully calm yourself is such a huge piece of that for me. So coming out in total silence, being out here, breathing in the scent of nature, you feel more calm. I think it would be impossible for someone to come out and sit here and not feel relaxed. I mean, maybe there's people out there that don't, but I feel so relaxed.
We were just talking about someone we know that didn't want to come out
That's
here.
right.
But like, yeah, so
There's some people, but I
Yeah.
also feel like if they did it enough,
that it could have.
that they would come around to
Yeah,
it.
I also like I do a lot of I've had this fascination with self-care, mainly because self-care was never a thing that I like grew up understanding.
Yeah.
And so then when I learned about it for me, I cracked the code. Therefore, everybody should do what I do. But then
Yeah.
you learn about different self-care and what it means to different people. And I just think it's really interesting that different people always have a connection to nature in some way. But for us, it's like coming out to a hike. I love like preparing my shoes, picking my socks, getting my bag ready, like getting in the car, listening to music, stopping at the food. And to other people, that's an absolute nightmare. So I think when I think about like what we're doing and especially what you're doing, it seems to me like the connection that the relationship that you've had has sort of it cultivated at a very early age. And it's almost like now you're in that relationship. So you're giving, a relationship is never one-sided. Well, I guess they could be, but they don't usually work out. But between your relationship when you were a kid and your relationship with nature when you were a kid and your relationship with nature now, how has it changed or evolved? Like, has there ever been points where you've sort of forgotten about nature?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I wouldn't say forgot maybe isn't the right word, because like it is around us. We can get to it. We can be in it by proxy to some degree. But definitely when I get really busy, and it feels the same when I, with other aspects of my self-care as well. When you get really busy, you feel like you don't have time for it.
Right.
And then you kind of get to almost like a breaking point where you need to do it again.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's with everybody with any kind of self-care. We're like, oh, I'm fine. Everything's fine. I'm white knuckling and like things are going, they're doing the thing. But you end up coming back around to it. And I think that's the really beautiful thing about it is it's like a reminder. It's sturdy. It's always there for you to come back to, which is nice. Which again is why this business was the whole thing in the first place, right? Is like coming back to nature and being able to make it a priority for me in a much larger way, right? Being able to be out there every day, because otherwise I get caught up in work sometimes. And I just don't.
And I'm sure like you will have good work days and good and bad work days.
That's right. Yeah. But it's pretty hard to have a bad day in the trees.
I totally agree with you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So talking about your work and the stuff that you do, do you have any type of goal or mission that when you bring people out, like, do you have a bigger statement beyond, say, you mentioned like I've been part of a lot of corporate culture, and you'll have things like pizza days or like pub night and stuff. I've never heard of like going on a hike or going out. Do you have any other type of mission to bring these types of experiences, the relationships that you've had with nature, to other people?
Yeah.
And in that, what have you heard? Has anyone said any other thing, or what do you notice when you take people? For example, we were talking earlier, when I bring people who are still from Canada to Alberta and I bring them into the nature, they always are blown away by what we have out here, even in, say, BC, where they have tons of nature as well.
Yeah.
So what have you noticed within the people that you serve, and do you have a greater mission while serving these people?
Yeah, I think nature is reflected in everything that we do. And so even in work settings, so for example, we do like a lot of team building things. And you can do, your team building exercises in the office and your trust falls and all of those things that, people do that they're like, we're gonna be a family, we're gonna be a team, we're gonna work on things. And you can do all of those things. But it's so much better to actually have lived experiences that mimic real life things in nature. So bringing people out to nature and having them cooperate and work together and experience something so grand, and be able to witness beauty and life all around them in that way is so profound. Not only do they get that recharge reset by being in nature, they feel more, refreshed and ready to go back to the office and more productive and just like filled with a sense of like, but also they're able to really like kind of live out those work experiences just by being out here and working together and going on a hike together and where are we going and who's going to be the leader and what's going to, like it naturally comes out when you're in a setting like that, And so I think even if we were to plan nothing, but just go out into nature, that they would end up having those experiences to take back to the office. And it's something that's lasting, that's long lasting, that they can talk about and relive, forever, right? And I think that's really beautiful. And in relation to corporate groups, that would be like the biggest kind of mission for me, biggest takeaway for me would be like they leave feeling like, oh my God, I feel so much better. I have this, I want to go back out here when I have a chance. Maybe I take my family now, maybe I do this. But also now I've deeply connected to these people that are supposed to be like a family, we're supposed to work together, So I think that's really big in that regard. But we work with tons of groups, so the mission would look slightly different, but the connection to nature is always the same.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna just like ask you some like other nature mental health questions, okay?
Yeah.
So I'll ask this to you in two ways and you can answer it either way you want. If there was something that you wish you could go back in time and tell yourself about nature or self-care or mental health, or if there was a piece of advice you could leave with somebody, what would it be about going to nature?
Just get in there. Get in there sooner, Like, again, I was in there from such a young age, but, making it a priority, really acknowledging what that means, and just being in it as much as possible, truly. I think it makes even the smallest changes in our life that we don't necessarily recognize at first, and they just ripple out, So the more time that you can spend in nature, the better. I think it was Dalai Lama or someone said something about meditation, and I feel like it reflects in the same way. He talked about if you want to focus on your mental health, like meditate 10, 15 minutes a day. And if you're busy, meditate an hour, And I feel like it's the same in nature. It's like, the more busy you are, the more you need it. The longer you need to spend out there in order for it to, really translate into your world. And, nature is meditation. So I feel like it really goes hand in hand.
Cool.
Yeah.
Say somebody saw this video. They want to go on your hike. I'll leave some sort of link somewhere to your specific one. What are like the maybe like top 5 things you would say to anyone who has never gone on a hike or an adventure before? What, like, is there something they should bring, something they should do? Like, one of the ones I would say is like, if you're looking to get into hiking, this is why I thought of the question, was like, start small.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I have a friend who, I believe he's going to be a park ranger, but he used to be a wildlife guardian.
Cool.
His easy hike is my like 9 out of 10. Like, we're not scrambling or climbing up a mountain, but like they are steep and they are long. So
yeah.
What would be some like beginner tips? Somebody saw this video, they wanted to come out, they wanted to get into nature, they wanted to go hiking.
Yeah.
What would be some tips you'd give some beginners?
Yeah, I would say my first thought is layers.
Layers.
Especially here in Alberta. I feel like the weather changes throughout the day so much, and especially in the mountains, in the Rockies specifically. You get weather changes very fast. So having lots of layers, preparing yourself in that way, so that if it's cold, you have things to throw on. If it's warm, you have things to take off, because that can really make or break hike for you. If you're too warm or you're too cold,
I get cold easy.
Miserable.
I'm wearing long sleeves and long,
Yes, it can be very miserable.
Plus 15 or something.
Yes. Yeah, so definitely layers are important. Water, obviously, important. That's a big one.
Probably sunscreen.
Yeah, sunscreen, huge. When we're talking about things to bring, snacks. I'm a big snacker. I love a dried mango.
Nice.
Mid hike, that really helps. Kind of get through it.
Nature bar.
Yeah, definitely.
Those Welch's
Fruit
Classic.
snacks.
Oh, and a trail
Is that what
mix.
you're talking about?
Yeah, and then that Costco trail
Yes.
mix, the best one.
Yes. Yeah, having everything you need in place to make your hike successful, I think is important. So like, your setup, your shoes. Don't wear brand new shoes on the first go because, that would be terrible as well. Getting yourself fully set up in that way is going to just add to the experience. As far as, what to do on a hike, starting small is always great. I think starting, maybe with small amounts of elevation as well is always a great thing because people don't realize how much elevation really adds to a hike. I did Howling Peak quite a few years ago now.
Howling Peak. Yep.
Crazy one. It's only, I think it's like a 4-hour hike to the top, but, very steep.
And then you reach that one point.
Yes.
And then it's almost like
you
straight
scramble up
up.
to the top, or you can sit on kind of the ridge line. But it's quite steep, and it's not just, your body, like your physical steps that are hard. It's also, suddenly I can't actually breathe properly. I have less oxygen going in, and in other parts of the world, that elevation, it really can affect you. Places like Peru and Ecuador where you've got really, really high elevation, it can really affect the oxygen going into your brain. So something to consider would be that as well, especially in the beginning, is to like kind of take it easy and build yourself up to those different peaks. The nice part about what we do with our company is that we set you up for success. We also let you know ahead of time, like, hey, this is how long it is. This is what the elevation is. This is where we're going. These are the things to bring. This is, how the day's going to look. I think that's the nice part about having a guide, right? Because you don't have to kind of figure that out on your own.
Brand new, yeah.
Yeah.
Being from Calgary and like growing up the way I grew up, like you almost feel a little dumbfounded or baffled when you go out with people and they're like in jeans and flip-flops, and you're like, okay.
And you're like, okay, yeah. And then the other aspect of like, there's wildlife in the Rockies as well. Right? So I think sometimes people don't think about that either. I could come across a bear actually. And how do I handle, different types of bears? So having that.
You've got to be faster than your friends. Yeah. That's it. That's only...
Trip them on the way out is kind of the main thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to add? Anything you left out that you did?
I think just, again, the more that you're out there, the easier and the better it gets. And that's with anything, the more energy you put into something, the more that you water the grass, the greener it gets. So I think the more time and energy you put into hiking, especially if that's something that you're interested in doing and it feels really good to you, the more you're going to get out of it, right? And you're going to have these really amazing experiences. There's nothing, in my opinion, nothing better than struggling up a hike and getting to the top and wanting to die and crawling to the very last peak and then seeing the view,
My one friend, she once brought, it was me, her husband, who's my other friend, and me. And she brought 3 beers. Yes. And it was the greatest beer I have ever tasted.
Good.
Yeah.
So good. I've done the same thing. Yeah. I think for Howling, I had a ginger beer in my hand.
Yeah,
I was like, this is the life. This is what it is. It feels good at the top to have that like little mini reward for yourself, on top of the view itself.
Perfect. Okay, well, thank you so much for doing this. What a beautiful day. What a beautiful hike.
So nice.
I would have done this without an interview, but you want to try to feed some birds and finish it off?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.